Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. We've got Greg Grippo on Caitlin Herman's podcast, Quarter Life Crisis, talking about his time on The Bachelorette. And as we know, he did Nick Viall's podcast. But this one, a little lighter as it's been several months and he's probably had a chance to reflect. So we'll get into all of that. Do me a favor, follow me on Instagram at DNeals. I've got some new reels that are up if you want to check some of my stand-up comedy. Plenty of shows coming up next Monday back in Hollywood Improv. Let me know if you guys want to come see a performance. Go to at DNeals on Instagram for all the show updates. All right, let's get right into it. I'm going to play for you guys probably 10 or so different clips from this podcast. I definitely recommend listening to the whole thing. The only video of the podcast...
So you feel like you maybe underestimated how difficult the experience was.
Oh my God, yeah, what? I had no idea what I was walking into. I don't know, I'm just naive, I guess,
You're an idiot, just kidding.
Yeah.
You're dumb.
So I guess you two are like really serious because somebody got the first impression.
All right, so that's all they've got for the video. You can watch the full video if you go to Kate Coaching the Pod and go to their Patreon. But Greg Grippo will talk about how his mom found out the spoilers that he got the first impression rose beforehand. We'll get into a few other things. Gonna cover it all right now. Why don't we begin here?
I was living in LA and I was about to move back to New York, so I decided to change my Hinge location to New York. And Greg was one of the first people I matched with, but we realized very quickly that it was nothing more than a platonic connection. And we both realized that it was nothing more than a platonic friendship. I mean, Greg realized that it was nothing.
All right. So Greg puts Caitlin in the friend zone. They met on Hinge. So that's how they kind of knew each other. Old Greggy Grippy over there throws her in the zone. You don't get too many men throwing women in the friend zone. It's usually the other way around.
It's a pretty low profile.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I mean, you knew me before the show. I loved my life prior to going on the show. Have an amazing group of friends, my family, my life in Jersey and New York. I don't know. I just kind of wanted to, I think, especially towards the ending of the show, I just feel like I was just in a really rough and honestly dark place for a little bit. I want to say for like a good couple weeks. And I wanted to get back what really made me happy. And that was just seeing my friends, going out, riding bikes down like, the Jersey Shore. And I wasn't going to do that by constantly, posting on social media and going on these podcasts and like these.
So he keeps a low profile. He only does Nick Viall's podcast, I believe, maybe one other. I'm not really sure. I think that was it. And he says, you know what? I want to get back to reality. You go on a show that cripples you, makes you out to be the villain. And of course, there was people that Greg's got a lot of haters. He's got a lot of lovers. It's one of those things you watch the show and it's like a test of like, whose side are you on? Now we know Katie did the best with the information she had, and we know Greg probably did the same. It's just a matter of the fact that people go on the show and they're not always compatible or other things get in the way and jealousy or fighting over different people. There's a million reasons why toxicity breeds from the show, but afterwards, go for a bike ride. Talk to your friends. Build that trust back. I think that's what you need to do after a breakup.
System.
Get
honestly,
bangs. Gotta get bangs.
I really don't read into like the social media comments anymore. I really learned to deal with that. Especially,
you're doing a great job, by the way. Like especially from when you first came out, because it did consume you for a minute, as it would anybody.
It's almost impossible not to. And I almost like especially because there's like a new season that's going on now.
Which, by the way, there's several men from that season that I feel very strongly about emotionally, physically, romantically. So there's going to have to be some real as hell.
It's naive.
Hold on, folks. I'm trying my best here to navigate through some time codes that I kept here. So let's try to do that. Let's go back 15 seconds.
Conversation. You're obviously going. Like, who says no to this? Like, how do you say no to one of the most life-changing, incredible experiences that you could possibly have? But you definitely weren't convinced. And we would have times where we would talk about or speculate on who would be the Bachelorette.
Of course. Yeah.
And when we started bringing Katie in the mix, like, you really were excited. You were.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I was really good.
Yeah, because, I'll give her this. I actually don't dislike her at all. Some people think I do because I like kind of came for her neck during finale, as like you would your friends. But I will give her the fact that she's like so authentic. So I actually, as your friend, loved the fact that she became the Bachelorette because you guys had similar stories. You guys have both lost a father, and she was real as hell. How did you feel when you found out that it was like officially her?
Officially, I think I gave you the call when I was in the hotel room. I think I still had my phone. They didn't take my phone until like I was 3 days into quarantine. I might have been the only one that had this view, but when I was in New Mexico, I was quarantining, and I had this. We weren't supposed to go out into the balcony, but it was kind of like,
you're a daredevil. You've always been.
I was feeling crazy that day. I was also feeling. I was so cooped up in that place. I was like, hell, I'm going out on this balcony. If I go home, screw it. So I went out to the balcony. Yeah, so I went out to the balcony. I see, I peer over to my right. It was in the back, like by the tennis course. I see her like doing like this little bit of like a promo, I guess. And that was the first time I saw, and like it was solidified that I was Katie. I remember being so fucking happy. And I remember immediately running back inside, calling my family, being like, yes, like it's her, like thank God. Like, you go on a show like this and you have no idea what to expect. You have no idea what's going to be thrown at you. You have no idea the guys that are going to be there. You have no idea if you're going to go on a date or not. You have no idea what the dates are going to be.
So kind of funny how he was able to discover who the next Bachelorette was going to be. They said, don't go out on your balcony. That was their way of telling people what to do while they're quarantining. How miserable. Quarantine for 3 days in your hotel room and not allowed to go on your balcony. I mean, hopefully they had my channel on their Roku TVs because, golly, you need some entertainment here. But, all right, let's go to this next clip. So he finds out that Katie's the Bachelorette by just going out on his balcony.
In Mexico. So I was like, nobody's going to know anything here. I didn't
naive.
know how. Yeah, what?
So naive.
I guess so. Yeah, my mom knew when she got to my hometown.
Oh, yeah.
She was like, so I guess you two are like really serious because somebody got the first impression. I'm like, what are you talking about? I haven't told you yet.
Your mom is so funny.
He's got a great mom impression. I guess somebody's going to be doing well. So the mom finds out through probably Reality Steve. Maybe me. Maybe Mrs. Grippo's checking out the old YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe if you are Mrs. Grippo. Lots of moms on the channel is all I'm going to say. We're a big mom favorite over here. So the mom finds out that Greg's the first impression rose, and she's all excited. Well, more on that in a minute.
It's with my grandma. It's end of April, and I go to text you being like, oh, by the way, leaving for the airport or whatever. And I see that my previous text to you said delivered.
That's how you found out.
So I immediately FaceTime you. Like, I don't even have any other reaction. After like 2 rings, you pick up, you're driving in your car, and you just look at me and you said, how did you know? And I am at a lot. I'm like, first of all, hi. Like, it's been 2 months. I'm looking at his face.
Crying.
He looks incredible, guys. I'm not kidding you. When he answered that phone, he had the tan of 1,000 suns. He looked so good. So now I'm just sobbing because I'm like, oh my God, you look so beautiful. Like, what's going on? And you were just like, I can't talk about this right now. And I remember the only thing I said to you, I was like, can you just tell me, like, are you in love? And you were like, yeah.
Whoa. All right. So he's in love. And this is obviously after he self-eliminated from the show. So you've got to hear whether people know if it was love or not love. I mean, it's hard to really know what's out there with all the different emotions going on. But he felt like he was in love and still left the show because, I don't know if you saw goodbye in her eyes. We all watched it play out. It was a pretty ugly thing. But clearly, you know, as he's mentioned, he's got his own issues. Don't we all? Don't we all? So let's go to 3720 and pick this up.
Yeah, definitely a lot of sadness in the beginning.
Yeah.
But I mean, my best friends at the time that I went to school with, who was it that came? Dave, my buddy Dave, Kyle, and Steve, and Evan all showed up to my apartment in New York City and spent like 4 days with me. And I just remember, like, you know, when you go through something like that, or, you know, I mean, they've been through it all with me, whether it was my father, and I never questioned it, you know, after the show that I was going to have the same support, you know, no matter what. I didn't think that this was going to happen between like her and I. I didn't think that I was going to go on and absolutely, like, you know, fall in love with the person.
Yeah.
I think like the odds of that are honestly like very slim to none. I mean, I feel like, you know, a select few really are able to feel and really build something with the person that's there.
You were, I gotta say, like, you're taking me back to a moment where I remember, like, you explaining everything that had happened, and you just saying to me, I look at love differently now. Like, my person, whoever my person is, like, it's not what I thought I wanted, and it's different. And you were proud of yourself for the fact that you could even feel feelings like that. And I think that that's so special that you had that.
Yeah, as much as, like, you know, people, you know, hate on the process, and as much as people, you know, try to joke about it, it can definitely work for people. It definitely brings up emotions. And
all right, so obviously brings up emotions, of course. You know, we're just going to barrel through there. Again, go watch the full thing. Go listen to the full thing. 4240. Let's go to 4240.
What I want in my life.
Yeah.
And I'd rather honestly be single. Is dark as people are going to probably think I'm so dark. I'd rather be single, honestly, for the rest of my life than just feel like I'm living like a mediocre life, or not have like that undeniable love and connection with the person I'm sharing my life with. And that's what he showed me. That's what he taught me, honestly, throughout my life.
His father.
Because, you know, we were cracking jokes on him, you know, when he was turning like up until his 60th birthday and he passed, you know, he was still, you know, dancing with my mom in the kitchen and just still loving her, you know, giving like her nicknames and just still joking with her. And like,
that's what you root for, folks. That's love. Dancing your age away. He said, I'd rather be single for the rest of my life than feel like I'm leading a mediocre life. I don't know if that if that has any implications towards Katie or not. I don't think he was necessarily referring to Katie there. 4830. Let's go. We're wrapping things up here, folks. We're getting to the end. 4830. And then let's see here. 4830. There it is.
Therapy
folks.
Has been the best thing for me.
Therapy's good.
You know, talking to someone definitely outside of your circle, getting advice through a therapist. That's been just so helpful. Did you know
anyone at the time that also had lost a parent? I can imagine that talking to someone else that can relate to what you're going through is probably helpful.
No, right off the bat, you know, we got a call 2 months or a month after my dad passed, like an older family friend, and I completely lost touch with this person. And they gave us a recommendation through a therapist that lived in Edison. All
right, so he talks about the therapist he went to, which became like a father figure to him. And as he had mentioned in the show, that therapist had also since passed away, which is like, you know, very telling. You open up to somebody and then they pass away. It's kind of like, yikes, you know, it's just unfortunate. Now, here's a funny story about Greg. We only have 2 clips left. Here's a funny story about Greg's mom and how excited she was. Because, you know, if you guys remember, a lot of when Greg's family or an aunt was like, Greg's doing an exciting opportunity, and everyone was like, oh, Greg's treating this like acting. Clearly what we've learned is that parents will run with things. So Greg's mom is like running with the fact that Greg's got the first impression rose and he's this big star, and you can't stop moms from doing that. My mom will brag about me about the most mundane things, and it's like so embarrassing because like parents, they just want to hold on to something. They can be like, look what my kid did, you know what I mean? So that's different than like maybe him wanting fame. You can't prevent your parents from being excited about this Hollywood process. I mean, it is the biggest dating reality show in the universe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have Facebook anymore. And then I only watched the premiere with like 3 or 4 of my best friends from home. And Dave was sitting next to me, my friend Dave, and he's like, "Oh God, look what Sandy posts." And like, granted, she's like trying to like be funny with like her work friends, and she also knew obviously that I got like the first impression rose, so she was so pumped for the premiere. And she's like, "Everyone, like tune in at 8/7 Central for my son on this season of The Bachelorette. Hashtag get your popcorn ready, baby." And here I am still. I'm like still like a little pretty upset about what's going on, obviously.
Pretty sad.
Like, heartbroken.
It's like, a month after, and I'm like, I call my mom, like, "Hey, like, listen, we can't do this all season." First off. Second off, I'm still not like doing like, I know we don't talk about it that much, but like,
can you imagine breaking up, you're crushed, your heart's ripped out, your mom posts on Facebook, "Get the popcorn ready." Oh my gosh, it's like some loyalty, ma. You know what I mean? All right, last clip. Let's get into it.
Right off the bat, me and Andrew had this moment with Hunter where we were just cracking up. The first day we got into the house, it was the first day after the first night in, after the rose ceremony. We just like had this moment where like we like were looking at each other, and when you're in your class and you're just like not supposed to be laughing, and it's either like a substitute teacher, like the teacher's like looking at you and you're looking at your best friend, like you guys can not hold it together. Yeah. We were cracking the hell up to the point where none of us can get anything out. Like one of the producers was honestly like getting kind of pissed because we couldn't even talk, and like the cameraman starts cracking up in the back, and like Andrew like points it out. He's like, even the cameraman gets it, and like. And right off the bat, me and Andrew were like, "That's it. Like, can we just like, this season's done. Like, I found love. I found love. Yeah. I was like,
all right, let's end it there. Greg Grippo found love. That's breaking news. And his name is Andrew Spencer. Yeah, I mean, you get on a show, you're new, your first day, imagine first day of school, you're surrounded by a bunch of people, and you're like, grasping to see who you can be friends with. It's like for me when I went to orientation and when I studied abroad, some of those guys I met have become lifelong friends because like we needed each other, we loved each other, we were in a new environment, and we could share the memories together. And I'm assuming being on The Bachelor is kind of like studying abroad. You're studying abroad domestically. Anyway, you're studying love and what it'll do to you. So very interesting, but also not crazy information. Stuff we already knew, but kind of further solidifies Greg's thoughts that he was in love, and it just, for whatever reason, we all watched it. We still don't exactly know what the heck went down. It seems Greg's single. It seems Katie's single. I don't know, guys. I think maybe they moved on. Maybe there's too much scar tissue. Who knows? Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Of course, you can go watch this podcast out. Kate coaching.
You feel like you maybe
excuse me. Kate coaching the pod. I'll follow it right now on Instagram, and there'll be a part 2. So we'll stick around for part 2 over there. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment. We'll talk to you in a little bit. Bye, everybody.